Krishna. So I am very happy to be here this evening amidst of all of you. So today morning I was speaking on the unique mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So on that topic we are discussing different points that what is very unique about Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So in continuation of the topic, I would like to explain one pastime, very sweet pastime, and then explore that pastime in detail to understand the unique mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So before getting into the pastime, let us chant the invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadadi Sapradantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namaum Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुलंगायते गिरिकृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं जयतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्री चैतन्यमीश्वरं कथाञ्चन स्मृते यस्मिन् दुष्करं सुकरं भवेत् विस्मृते प्रीतं स्यात् श्री चैतन्यं नमामि तम्। So Lord Chaitanya, when he was in his youth, he performed many pastimes in Mayapur Dham. So Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in Mayapur can be divided into two parts. Lord Chaitanya's pastimes when he was a young child and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Nimai Pandita. And within this Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Nimai Pandita, these pastimes can be divided again into two parts. That Lord Chaitanya's pastimes before he went to Gaya and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes after he came back from Gaya. Because there was a marked difference in Lord Chaitanya's pastime before he went to Gaya and after he came back from Gaya. Before he went to Gaya, Lord Chaitanya was exhibiting his pastimes of scholarliness as Nimai Pandit. He was such a great scholar that nobody could beat him. But at the same time, he was such a great scholar that he was headache for everybody. Both sides. Nobody could beat him and he was also headache for everybody. So, what he used to do, Lord Chaitanya, he used to catch hold of someone. Any Brahman comes, he will catch hold of him. And then he will ask him, hey, make one statement from Shastra. So that person will make one statement from Shastra. And then he will ask him, okay, prove that this statement is true. Then that Brahman will give argument to prove that this statement is true. Then Mahaprabhu will give all argument to prove that that statement is false. Now the Brahman has no other way to accept that the statement is false. He say, okay, it's false. Leave me. He say, no, who said it is false? Then he will give whole argument to prove that the statement is true. Then the Brahman said, this is what I said in the beginning. He said, this statement is true. Then he said, who said it is true? Then he will give complete new arguments to prove that it is false. So this way, everybody was afraid of Nimai Pandit because they know if Nimai Pandit catch him, then they are finished. So these different type of pastimes he had in the before he went to Gaya. But when he went to Gaya for doing the Pitradan for his father, Jagannath Mishra, when he went there he met Ishwarapuri. And Ishwarapuri gave him the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So before that, the Vaishnavas of Nadia district, they had this great aspiration that this Nimai is so intelligent. But unfortunately, he is always making fun of us. So somehow or other, if this Nimai becomes a Vaishnava, then it will be so nice, they used to say. Sometimes Gadadhar Pandit used to ask him, hey Nimai, why are you doing like this? Why don't you chant God's name? And then Mahaprabhu used to tell him, Gadadhar, you wait and see. One day I will become such a devotee that you will cry. Wait and see. So like that transformation happened when he received the Mahamantra. And then he was coming through the Jarikanda forest. When he was coming through the Jarikanda forest, in near one place called Kanai Natshala, he was actually able to see Krishna. And Krishna was standing and Mahaprabhu was seeing Krishna. Then Mahaprabhu was running behind Krishna. Krishna was running away from him. So from that point, Mahaprabhu started feeling this intense separation from Krishna, always searching for Krishna, 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 where are you, where are you, where are you? Then he started the whole Sankirtan movement. So today morning I explained that how the Sankirtan movement came from the inner perineums of Shiva Sangan to outside. And today morning I explained. But then I'll explain today now I'll explain a different pastime. So one time it so happened that Mahaprabhu and his associates, they were doing kirtan on the streets, and they were going and they were chanting and then dancing and then doing kirtan on the streets. And they found a very beautiful mango grove. And when they reached the mango grove, they all became very tired and they wanted to take some rest. And when they took some rest, at that time there was not season for mango. But all of them somehow desired to eat mango. All of them got this desire to eat mango. Then what Mahaprabhu did, he took one stick of mango and then he planted it on the ground. And the moment he planted it on the ground, then that small stick grew into a whole big tree of mangoes. And from that tree, more than 200 mangoes immediately appeared. More than 200 mangoes immediately appeared. And those mangoes were so big, each mango was more than like a football. They were not like small mangoes. And you know what is the speciality of the mangoes which appeared on the tree? Do you know what is the speciality of those mangoes? The first speciality is that it is no skin. That mango did not have any skin. What is the second speciality of that mango? No seed. The second speciality of that mango was no seed. And what is the third speciality of that mango? There is one more speciality of that mango. What is that? If you eat one mango, you are done for the day. You cannot eat anything more. If you eat one mango, you are done for the day. You cannot eat anything more. You become so full, so satisfied. The juice was so nectarian. The taste was so sweet that if you just eat one mango, then no more eating for the day. You are fully satisfied. So like that, beautiful mangoes, they were in two colors. You know what colors they were? You know what colors they were? So they came in two colors. What is that? One is yellow. One more? Red. So there was yellow color mango and there were red color mangoes. So Mahaprabhu, he picked those mangoes. He nicely washed those mangoes. Then he offered them to Krishna. And then he ate those mangoes themselves. And he relished the mangoes and he distributed the mangoes to all his associates. And all his associates also ate the mango. And the tree remained there for 12 months. Remained there for how much time? 12 months. And then every day, Mahaprabhu's associates and Mahaprabhu would come near the tree and then they will pick mango and the same routine. Wash the mango, offer and eat and be happy. Like that big mango festival was going on for how many months? 12 months. So after 12 months, the tree disappeared. There was no more mango. So this is a very beautiful pastime which happened in Mahaprabhu's time when he was in Mayapur. And even today also, you can go and see that place. It's called Amghata. The place called Amghata. Even today you can go and see that place. You can see that place actually is there. Normally when we go for Navadip Mandal Parikrama, we stop in that place and then we have some katha. So this is the pastime of Lord Chaitanya having mangoes. But this pastime has many lessons for us. This pastime has many lessons for us, not one or two. It has many lessons for us. So let us try to analyze few lessons from this pastime because we don't have time to analyze all the lessons from this pastime. Let us try to analyze few lessons from this pastime. Okay. So the first point is that Mahaprabhu and his associates, they were doing kirtan and they were resting and then they got the desire to eat mango when it was not mango season. When it was not mango season. So the lesson or the very beautiful point which we actually get from this desire is that Kali Yuga is not the time for doing bhakti. Kali Yuga is not the time for getting love of Godhead. This is not the season. Kali Yuga is the season for what? Kali Yuga is the season for is then prayana alpayasa sabya kalavasmi nigajana Manda Sumanda Madayo, Manda Bhagya Nahi Upadrita. Kali Yuga is the season for getting troubled. The season for fighting with each other. It is the season for having so much of disturbance. Of course, it is happening in the outside world. So, it is not the season for getting love of Godhead. Kali Yuga is not the season for getting love of Godhead. But Mahaprabhu and his associates, even though it was not the season, even though the people of Kali Yuga are not qualified to get love of Godhead, they simply came to give that love of Godhead to all of us despite all our disqualification. Despite all our disqualification. So this is the most important aspect of Mahaprabhu and his associates wanting to eat mango when there was not mango season. This is what it indicates, that they actually want to give us something very valuable, even though we are not destined to get it. So we should not think, oh, I am very qualified, so that's why I came to the ISKCON movement. So we came to the ISKCON movement because we are disqualified. This is Mahaprabhu's mercy. Mahaprabhu's mercy is that disqualification is the qualification for a person to get Mahaprabhu's mercy. So, the mango season not being there, it shows the disqualification of the people of Kali Yuga. The desire of the associates and Mahaprabhu to eat mango at that time shows that their desire to give us love of Godhead, even though we are not qualified to receive that. So this is the first lesson. So we should be very fortunate. We should be very fortunate. We are the right people at the right time, or we are the wrong people at the right time. We are the wrong people, but we are at the right time. We may be the wrong people, but we are at the right time because they have this desire to give love of Godhead to us and they want to distribute it freely. So if we just put our hands and then we can get a slice of that mango. So what is the second point? The second point is that Mahaprabhu actually planted one small stick and then it immediately became mango tree. This is the second point. So from this point we can understand that even though self-realization is a very, very difficult thing, and the process of self-realization is very long. It is not simple, it is not small, it is not simple. In Satya Yuga, 20,000 years of meditation to get self-realization, that too only to see Paramatma, not to get love of Godhead. Not to get love of Godhead. In Treta Yuga, you chant so many mantra, you make big yajna, you throw animal, get it alive, all big headache to get self-realization. In Dwapara Yuga, in order to be self-realized, you have to be perfect Brahman who can worship the deity. So much of self-realization is not such an easy process. But however, in Kali Yuga, we are getting self-realization simply by chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that also, Prabhupada said, now we are talking about Mahaprabhu's mercy. Without talking about Prabhupada's mercy, we cannot talk about Mahaprabhu's mercy. So, Prabhupada told his disciples that don't worry, I will take you to Goloka by the back door. He said, I have the back door entry to Goloka. I'll take you to Goloka by the back door. He told us that you simply follow my instruction. So the point is that the process of self-realization which is given by Mahaprabhu is so easy and so sublime that within a short time, even a person who is not qualified, he can become qualified. He can become qualified. Prabhupada said that in this lifetime we can go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the significance of the tree growing immediately. This is the significance of the tree growing immediately. Okay. Now when the tree grew immediately, then what happened? What happened? Mango fruits came. The mango fruits came. And what is the nature of mango fruit? We said two things. Only that no skin, no seeds. Okay. So what does no skin mean? No skin means that the bhakti which we practice, that should not be covered by karma or jnana or unnecessary things. In Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami is saying that Anyabhilashita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavratam Anukulyena Krishnanasilana Bhakti Ruttama. So whatever we do, we have to simply do it for the pleasure of Krishna. It's a very simple way we understand bhakti. Our understanding of bhakti is not very complicated. Sometimes devotees get too much into tension. They start asking some question, how to balance material life and spiritual life? They ask this question, how to balance material life and spiritual life? The answer which Bhagavatam gives is that there is no need to balance material life and spiritual life, because a devotee has no material life. A devotee only has spiritual life. So there is no question of balancing material life and spiritual life. But within our spiritual life, we have two types of activities. One type of activity is directly Krishna conscious. Like we chant the holy name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You don't have to make it Krishna conscious. It's already Krishna conscious. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Padasevanam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, all this, the 9 process of devotional service, you don't have to make it Krishna conscious, already Krishna conscious. But there are other activities which are not by nature Krishna conscious. For example, eating is by nature not Krishna conscious. But we have to offer to Krishna to make it into prasadam, and then if we eat, it becomes Krishna conscious. So that is the second type of activity. That activity is that we have to dovetail that activity in Krishna consciousness to make it Krishna conscious. So in our life we have only two types of activities. The activities which are naturally Krishna conscious, and the activities which we have to dovetail to Krishna to make it Krishna conscious. Clear? Okay. So Bhagavatam is saying that the second type of activity, the activity which we have to dovetail it into Krishna to make it Krishna conscious, those activities should be performed in such a way that the taste for activities which is naturally Krishna conscious is always growing. It's clear? The activities which have to be dovetailed in Krishna consciousness, they should be performed in such a way that the taste for naturally Krishna conscious activities is growing. It's clear? Is it clear? So, this way, there is no material activity in our life. There is no material activity in our life. Dharma sonushtita pumsam visvakshena kathasuyaha na utpadayet etiratim shramayevahi kevalam. Bhagavatam is saying. At the same time, then what to do? Because we have social duties, we have professional duties. This is reality. We have duties which are social in nature, we have duties which are professional in nature. How to do them? So Bhagavatam is saying, Atapumya Dujashreshta Varnashrama Vibhagashaha Swanushthitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Simply, if you are able to do every activity for Krishna's pleasure, whatever we do, we tell Krishna, Krishna, I did this, this is for your pleasure. Kayena vacha manasendriyeva buddhyatmana vanushrita svabhava karomi yat yat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami. If we offer everything to Krishna, offer everything to the Lord, then it becomes Krishna conscious. So there is no covering of karma, there is no covering of jnana, everything is Krishna conscious. So the devotional service which we perform, it should be like a mango without skin. It should be like a mango without skin. Okay, this is the significance of that mango not having skin. Now there is one more significance. What is that? That mango was not having seed. What is the significance of mango not having seed? Not expecting any result. Not expecting something for ourselves in Krishna consciousness. Right? When we perform Krishna consciousness, we should simply do Krishna consciousness for Krishna's pleasure. We should not have some ulterior motive. Okay, this ISKCON people are very good. Many nice people are there in ISKCON. So let me join ISKCON and let me increase my business prospects by joining ISKCON. We should not join ISKCON for all that. We should simply join ISKCON to please Krishna. So in practicing bhakti, there should not be any hidden motive. The seed is not visible. When you see the mango seed is visible, no, it is not visible. It is inside, it is hidden. So like that, while practicing bhakti, we should not have any hidden motive. So this is the significance of the mango not having seed. So the mango not having skin, the mango not having seed. Now what is the next point about the mango? You eat one mango, you are completely satisfied. You don't have to worry about eating any other thing. You are completely satisfied, right? What is the significance of eating that mango and getting completely satisfied? That in Kali Yuga, simply by chanting the holy name, we can get everything we want in our Krishna consciousness. There is nothing else required in Kali Yuga. We don't have to do this, we don't have to do that. There is no other process which is required in Kali Yuga to get love of Godhead. Simply by chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we can actually get perfect self-realization in Kali Yuga. So this is the topic of the mango satisfying, one mango satisfying the person completely. We can be completely satisfied in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the holy name. We can try to find satisfaction in so many different ways, in so many different places, in so many different ways, but you'll always be dissatisfied. You'll always be dissatisfied. But if you are able to chant the holy name, the moment we start chanting the holy name, to the extent we are sincerely chanting the holy name, to that extent we'll be completely satisfied. So this is the significance of one mango satisfying the person who is eating it. Now, Mahaprabhu, what he did after he got the mango? What he did? You remember what he did in the past time? He cleaned the mango. He cleaned the mango. So what is the significance of cleaning the mango? The significance of cleaning the mango is that if Krishna has to accept us, our heart has to be clean. Our heart has to be clean. When the heart is clean, when the clean heart is offered to Krishna, it is easy for Krishna to accept us. Now how to clean the heart? Some detergent is there to clean the heart? How to get that place? That's very nice. But how to get there? How to get there? Without no jealousy in the heart, how to get that place? Can we do it? Can we clean our heart? Cheto Darpana Marjanam. What does it mean? By chanting the holy name, the heart gets clean. But who is cleaning the heart? Am I cleaning the heart? Who is cleaning the heart? Krishna is cleaning the heart. In Bhagavatam it is saying, Shunmatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantastohi Abhadrani Vidunoti Sugrud Satam. What does that meaning? Vidunoti Sugrud Satam means what? Vidunoti means what? Vikrishta Rupena Dhunoti. Means complete cleaning of the heart. Who is doing that? Sugrud Satam. Sugrud means well-wisher. Satam means devotee. The well-wisher of the devotee. Who is the well-wisher of the devotee? Krishna, who is in the heart. He is the well-wisher of the devotee. What he is doing? He is cleaning our heart. We are thinking we are doing service to Krishna. And sometimes we become very proud. No, oh, I did so much service today. I did so much service today. Sometimes we also start thinking, oh, if I am not there, what these people will do? What these people will do? I am doing so much service. That is why this whole temple is running. This whole yatra is running. If I am not there, Then these people will know what kind of service I am doing. But actually, who is serving whom? Who is serving whom? Krishna is serving us. We are doing this much service, and Krishna is doing this much service. Because to clean this temple hall may be very easy, but to clean our heart is not so easy. We have millions and millions and lifetimes of jealousy, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Everything is there in our heart. Millions and millions of lifetime, we have saved it nicely, like a saving we have made it, and we have kept it in our heart. So much is there, and it has to be clean. So who will clean it? Krishna will clean it. So what we have to do? We have to simply agree to hear Krishna Katha and chant Krishna's names. We have to do two things. What we have to do? Hear Krishna Katha and chant Krishna's names. We have to agree. We have to agree to do this. If we agree to do this, what Krishna will do? Krishna will clean our heart. So this is the significance of Mahaprabhu cleaning the mangoes, because he is the Supreme Lord himself. He is the Supreme Lord himself. So he is the one who can clean our heart. We cannot clean our heart. By our own effort, we cannot clean our heart. So he has to clean our heart. So this is the significance of Mahaprabhu cleaning the mango. After cleaning the mango, what Mahaprabhu did? What he did? Offered it to Krishna. This is a very important thing. So Mahaprabhu is showing whatever we have to eat, we have to offer to Krishna. We have to offer everything to Krishna. That without offering to Krishna, we cannot eat. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that when everything is offered to Krishna and then we have it, it becomes prasad. But when it is not offered to Krishna, we try to have it, then what happens? It becomes sin. Yajnashishta sinasanto muchyante sarvakil vishay bhunjate te tagam papam epachanti atma karana. Krishna says. If one wants to simply eat for his own enjoyment without offering to Krishna, then it becomes sin. But if you offer to Krishna, and then we can enjoy, no problem. How much ever gulab jamun you want to eat, you eat. But you offer to Krishna. First let Krishna eat. Then after that you eat 10 gulab jamun, 15, 20, whatever you want to eat, you eat. No problem. So, therefore, Mahaprabhu is showing a very important thing, that we should always take prasadam. So that is the significance of Mahaprabhu offering the mango. After that, what Mahaprabhu did? What did he do? What did he do? What did he do? He tasted it himself. Okay? He tasted it himself. So, of course, if we have to explain this, it will take 2 hours. Okay? So the point is that Mahaprabhu actually came as a devotee. Mahaprabhu came as a devotee simply to taste the mellow of his own devotion. Simply to taste the mellow of his own devotion. So that is the significance of Mahaprabhu tasting the mango first of all himself. Then he distributed the mango to others. So what is the significance of that? What is the significance of that? Yes, the significance of that is that the message of Krishna consciousness should be preached far and wide. Far and wide. That is why we are all sitting here. Just because Mahaprabhu distributed that mango to everybody, we are able to sit here in, what is this place? Burlington. And we are able to hear Krishna Katha today. If Mahaprabhu had not distributed the mango, then what would happen? No Krishna Katha in Burlington. So therefore, Mahaprabhu distributing the mango, it actually signifies that Mahaprabhu's desire that Prithivita Achet Jata Nagaradigram Sarvatra Prachara Hoibe Moranam. This Mahaprabhu's desire to spread the message of love of Godhead all over the world. This distribution of mango signifies that. So Mahaprabhu distributed mango to everybody. Now in between left one point. What is that point? The mango was 2 colors. You know what are the colors? You remember what colors? Yellow and red. The mango was not one color. The significance of the mango being in 2 colors is that everybody can take up to Krishna consciousness. There is no restriction for any one person or one class. The Krishna consciousness is not meant for one type of people or one class of people. It is meant for everybody. All variety of people can become Krishna conscious. It is not restricted that only this person should become Krishna conscious, that person should not become Krishna conscious. Becoming Krishna consciousness is everybody's birthright. Everybody can become Krishna conscious. Okay. So then every day they enjoyed the mango. Every day they enjoyed the mango. They came every day and every day they enjoyed the mango. What is the significance of coming every day and enjoying the mango? The significance of coming every day and enjoying the mango is that the process is so simple and the process is so sublime that if we actually enter into the process, every day is an enjoyment. Every day is an enjoyment. People are suffering in this world. People are suffering in this world. They don't know how to be happy. But we have simple formula to be happy. What is our formula to be happy? Eat, sing and dance. This is our formula. You like this formula? Eat, sing and dance. You like this formula or you don't like this formula? Is it easy or difficult? Easy. Every day we have to eat, every day we have to sing, every day we have to dance. In Kali Yuga, people are very interested in doing these three things. People are very interested in eating. Eating is a very big industry, huge industry. People are very much interested in music. Music also big industry. People are very much interested in dancing. People are giving so much money and going to 5-star hotel there, here, and then they are dancing. But what is our process? Our process is eat, sing and dance. Very simple process, very easy process. What we have to eat? We have to eat tasty Krishna Prasadam. What we have to eat? Not simple Krishna Prasadam. What Krishna Prasadam? Tasty Krishna Prasadam, full of variety. Full of variety. Not that every day we are eating khichdi. We are eating tasty Krishna Prasadam, full of variety. Then after that, what we have to sing? We have to sing Krishna's name. We have to sing Krishna's kirtans, Krishna's name. And where we have to dance? In front of the deity. In front of the deity we have to dance. Very simple process. Eat, sing and dance. And if you do that, every day we can enjoy. In Mayapur, sometimes, every day we have kirtan. And sometimes some guest comes. They are all some big people. Some big minister, like that, some big people or big rich man, they come, okay. And on the street, we have this kirtan party who are doing kirtan and everybody is dancing there. So we take them there, we tell them that you see this is kirtan going on, and then we encourage them, you also go and dance. But they are big people, they don't want to dance. They are very stiff. They say, no. Okay. Then we tell them, no problem, please go. You take part in this dance, go. You push them once, twice, thrice, then they relent because they also want to dance. In their heart, that desire is there. They also want to dance. But the moment they enter the kirtan and start dancing, they totally forget that I am big man, I am rich man, I am that man, I am this man. They have so much dancing in kirtan so happily. Now it has become reverse. You have to go and pull them out. Come. You have to go for the next program. They say, no, wait. We'll some more dance and come. So everybody wants to dance. And every day, if you can take up this process, what is the process? Eating, singing and dancing process. If we take every day, we can take the process. Every day we can enjoy. We don't have to be morose. We don't have to feel alone. We don't have to be in depression. No need. We can be very happy in the company of devotees. So, therefore, the significance of devotees coming every day and enjoying the fruit is that every day we can enjoy this process. Susukam kartum avyayam. And then, the significance of the mango tree staying for 12 months or 1 year, after that it is vanishing. The significance of that is that Mahaprabhu's mercy in Kali Yuga is available only for a limited time. Is available only for a limited time. It's available only for the next 10,000 years. And we are most fortunate because we have actually appeared so close to Mahaprabhu's appearance, and we have appeared so close to Prabhupada's appearance. So therefore we are most fortunate and we are well situated. We are well situated and most fortunate. So if we simply utilize this opportunity very nicely, we can actually go back to Godhead, even when the golden period of Mahaprabhu's mercy is still there in this world. So like this, there are also many points which we can discuss in this pastime. So Mahaprabhu's pastimes, they may look very simple. They may look very simple. You may say, oh, okay, they came, they danced, they ate mango, they went back. What is the big deal? What is that? Big deal. No, there is big deal. There is big deal. That is why Krishna Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Chaitanya Dayara Katha Kuriye Vichar. Kurile Chitta Paibe Chamatkar. He is saying, you better logically analyze what is the nature of Mahaprabhu's mercy. If you analyze the nature of Mahaprabhu's mercy, you will understand what type of mercy Mahaprabhu has brought into this Kali Yuga. So therefore, we are very, very fortunate to be recipient of this Mahaprabhu's mercy. We are very, very fortunate to have Vrindavan Dham. We are very, very fortunate to have Mayapur Dham. How many of you have come to Mayapur? Okay, few people, lot of people yet to come. Okay, so I'm extending my warm invitation to all of you. Please come to Mayapur, and then you can see, you can go. I explained this whole pastime of Mahaprabhu and his associates eating mango. You can go there, you can sit there, you can also eat mango sitting there, if you come in mango season, of course. Okay. You can also sit in the same place, you can eat mango. You can enjoy mango, of course. Mango will be with seed, with skin, but still you can enjoy mango. You can be there, you can know that this place is real, these pastimes happened, and you can actually see the different places of pastimes of Mahaprabhu and his associates if you visit Mayapur. So, I came from Mayapur, so since I came from Mayapur, I had to give you all one gift. Since I came from Mayapur, so I'll give you one gift. And that gift is such a nice gift that if you utilize this gift, whenever you feel that you are in problem, whenever you feel you have some difficulty, if you simply utilize this gift, all your problem, all your difficulty will go away. You want this gift? You want it? You want it? So this gift is in the form of a mantra. Okay? It's a very secret mantra. It's a very secret mantra. I'll give you that mantra. And there is one method of chanting this mantra. Okay, what is the method of chanting this mantra? First of all, you have to raise both your hands. Okay, raise your hands. Okay, ready? Everybody has raised their hands. I see somebody is not raising their hands. Prabhu, raise your hands. Okay, you can write later. You raise your hands. Okay, now you carefully listen this mantra which I am going to chant, and then you chant after me just like I am chanting. Okay? Gauranga! 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 So this is this most secret mantra which I have taught all of you. Okay? Whenever you get into trouble, what you have to do? What do you have to do? How do you feel?
Relieved.
Simply by calling out Gauranga's name, Krishna Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Kathanchana smrite ismin dushkaram sukaram bhavet vismrite viparitam syat Sri Chaitanyam namamitam. Very beautiful sloka. Very beautiful sloka. He is saying, simply by remembering Lord Chaitanya, somehow or other, if you remember Lord Chaitanya, even the most difficult thing will become very easy. But if you cannot remember Lord Chaitanya, even the easiest thing will become very difficult. So therefore, if you always remember Lord Chaitanya, and if you always remember Mayapur Dham, and if you always keep Mayapur Dham in your heart, then you can always be happy. So I request all of you, to those who have not visited Mayapur Dham, I request all of you to come and visit Mayapur Dham. And those who have visited Mayapur Dham, I request all of you come and visit again Mayapur Dham. Okay? So sometimes devotees